I'm Jason Black, and I play bass in Hot Water Music. Well, we're from Gainesville, Florida, and we started practicing and just kind of messing around at the end of 1994. And then we kind of started doing the band full-time around 99. Gainesville offers cheap rent, that's about it. No, there's a really good music scene, and it's kind of been perpetuated by the fact that we have a pretty killer local punk label called No Idea Records, which is how we got our start and how most of the bands from there got their start, if not all of them. So it's kind of nice to have a built-in distribution and, you know, support network right off the bat. George and I met in high school playing in a band together, and we worked next door to Chuck like a year later, met him that way, and then Chris just kind of knew from around town. He was playing with a couple other people that we knew and jammed with once in a while, so we just sort of had a couple bands going on that all fell apart at the same time, and just kind of ended up hooking up like that. We're definitely not a political band. I mean, recently we've taken part in a couple things just with the past election that was a miserable failure. But, and that was sort of I still wouldn't put us in the political bracket by doing that, because I think at the state of affairs currently in the States and things like that, it's pretty easy to get involved and make a small difference with the amount of musical like activism that's going on. And we've never really felt comfortable with that. We're much more about just kind of what happens in our everyday life. And sometimes that is political, and I think that's how we got involved recently. It's just like our everyday life finally began to be affected by decisions the government were making and things like that. So but we're much, you know, there's enough people that have a soapbox, and we kind of prefer to stay on level ground with everybody else. I'd say progression in our music is probably, and in the band, is the most important thing. I think I don't think we'll ever break up. I'm sure at some point in time we'll stop being on the road all the time. I think that just the way we are as a band, the way we are as people, and the way we are as musicians, once we kind of hit a point where we don't feel like we're progressing anymore, then it's almost like, what's the point? You know, you've already done, every tour ends up being exactly the same, and every record ends up sounding exactly the same, and it's, you know, not necessarily a waste of our time, but I think just the way we are, personality-wise, we kind of prefer to push ourselves and try something different. With any record we do, we always try to do something different. It just depends on how predominant that becomes in the record. Like, sometimes we'll have one or two songs that are a little bit different, and then it just, you know, we start writing each record completely differently. Each song's completely different. So it depends on what we latch onto and how far we can carry that. And this record, we kind of latched onto a lot of new things that we thought worked really well, and we were able to push them all to be on the record. And like you said, pretty much, this is the first record we've done where I couldn't pick a bunch of songs and just put them on the last record, you know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of a complete thought, and it sort of needs all those songs, and they couldn't really end up anywhere else. There's a couple that maybe could, but most of them are pretty much, I would say, kind of individual and unique to this recording session. on Sunday in Indianapolis, and then we're going home for a couple months, and then we're heading over to Europe. And I think we're going to be doing like a week of shows with Newfound Glory in the UK, and then doing a few weeks of our own stuff. I just kind of look at it. My advice to anybody would be that I just look at everything that happens as like, once it's happened, there's not really anything you can do about it, and tomorrow's always a different day. So it's just sort of, I don't know if that has to do with touring and being in a different town every day, or basically having no control over. It's not like we have a 9-to-5 job that we know what our salary is going to be every year and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Our life is of so many different variables that you just kind of get a little bit of like a fluidness to you, and you're just like, You know, so it's not, there's nothing you can't get out of, I don't